In a world where memory is fragile and identity can be borrowed, what if you woke up in the body of someone everyone hates? A child calls you father, a woman breaks into tears at your face, and a man draws his sword to avenge the past. You remember nothing but the world remembers you. This is the story of Lucen, a soul trapped in the body of a monster, forced to choose between seeking redemption or uncovering the truth. Welcome to Whispers of Elsewhere. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. Let's begin the tale of the mirror of someone else. He awoke in the middle of a forest. No name, no memory, no idea who he was. All he knew is that something was wrong, deeply wrong. He could feel it in the marrow of his bones, the hollow echo in his chest where his heart should have been beating. As he pushed himself up on shaky legs, his gaze fell upon a broken piece of metal lying beside him. It was a mirror. Its surface, once smooth and reflective, was now shattered into a mosaic of jagged edges. But even in its broken state, it served its purpose. As he leaned closer, he saw a face staring back at him, a face that was not his. Startled by the sight, he stumbled back, his mind a swirling vortex of confusion. Who was this man? Where did he come from? Why did he feel so utterly lost? The questions echoed in his mind, but there were no answers. Only the rustle of leaves in the wind and the distant call of a bird offered any reply. He was alone, utterly and terrifyingly alone. With no answers in the forest, he started walking. He had to get out, find people, ask questions, anything to pierce the fog of his amnesia. As he walked, the trees grew thinner, the sunlight stronger. And just as he thought the forest couldn't get any darker, the sky grew overcast and the trees closed in around him again, plunging him back into an oppressive gloom. And then he heard it, a whisper in the tree. He stopped, listening intently. It was a woman's voice. "Lucen," she said. "Lucen, is that you?" He called back, but his voice caught in his throat. What was he supposed to say? He didn't know who he was, let alone anyone who might be calling him Lucen. The voice came again, closer this time. "Lucen, oh Lucen," she cried, her voice trembling with what sounded like fear and desperation. "You're alive." Suddenly, the undergrowth in front of him rustled, and a woman stepped out. Her eyes were wide, her gaze intense. When she saw his confusion, her face crumpled and she broke into tears. "Lucen," she whispered, falling to her knees before him. "It really is you." Then she stood and ran off, disappearing into the trees as quickly as she had appeared. He stood there watching her go, his mind still a jumble of confusion. But one thing was clear, that name, Lucen, it meant something to him. It resonated deep within him like the first chord of a long-forgotten song. And then, as quickly as it came, the feeling was gone, leaving him with nothing but a growing sense of foreboding. He continued his journey deeper into the forest, determined to find answers. And soon enough, another sound reached his ears, the laughter of a child. At first it was distant, but then it grew louder, echoing through the ancient trees. He followed the sound until he came upon a clearing, and there in the middle of it sat a little girl, her head thrown back in laughter. He watched her for a moment, his heart stirring with a strange longing. He wanted to join her laughter, to feel the unadulterated joy that seemed to pour from her very being. But he hesitated. Was it right to approach her? Was he even capable of such simple joys? His mind was a battlefield of confusion and caution. Then the girl stopped laughing and turned her eyes widening in surprise when she saw him. "Papa," she cried, throwing her arms around his legs. "Papa, you're here." He looked down at her, his heart clenching at the sight of her innocent trust. But he couldn't remember ever being a father. Yet the word echoed in the chambers of his heart, stirring feelings that were buried under layers of forgotten memories. For a moment, he simply stood there, letting the child's presence wash over him, searching for some anchor in the sea of his confusion. Then, as if a switch had been flipped, a new wave of panic washed over him. Images flashed before his eyes, visions of war, of blood, fire, betrayal. But when he tried to grasp them, to make them his own, they slipped through his fingers like grains of sand. He stumbled back, knocking over a nearby stone. The girl looked up at him, her eyes filled with confusion. "Papa, why are you sad?" she asked, her voice small and trembling. He wanted to answer her, to tell her everything would be alright. But the truth was he was as lost as she was. And in that moment, he realized he might never be able to give her the answers she needed. With a heavy heart, he knelt down and hugged her, burying his face in her hair, breathing in her sweet scent, trying to hold on to this one tangible piece of his past. But even as he did, he knew it wasn't enough. He owed her more than fragments of memories. He owed her the truth. And so with a final kiss on her forehead, he gently pushed her away and stood up, his resolve hardening. He would find the answers, even if it meant facing the darkness within himself. Suddenly, a twig snapped behind him. He whirled around, drawing instinctively the sword at his side. A man stood there, his eyes narrowed, his expression hard. "So the great Lucen has finally woken," the man spat. "I thought you'd be dead, just like your brother." Lucen lowered his sword slightly, confused.
"Brother!"
"Dead," the man snorted. "Don't play coy with me, Lucen. I know what you did. You killed Kellen, took our kingdom, and plunged our world into chaos." Lucen shook his head, his confusion growing. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said. "Honestly," the man snarled, lunging forward with his sword raised. "You may have wiped our memories, stolen our magic, but you can't hide from who you are, monster." Lucen parried the man's attack, stumbling back. He felt a surge of power within him, raw and untamed, answering to a call that echoed in his very bones. Visions flashed before his eyes, but this time he caught them, embraced them, and with a gasp, they became his own. He saw a kingdom in flames, a king lying dead at his feet, and a crown shimmering on the ground, untouched by the fire. He saw battles fought and won, a people united under his banner, and felt the intoxicating rush of power that came with it. But amidst the triumphs, he also saw loss, the death of a brother, the fall of a kingdom, and the echoes of a prophecy whispered in hushed tones. He looked at the man before him, his eyes now blazing with newfound understanding. "So you're going to kill me because you think I'm responsible for all this?" he said, his voice echoing with power. The man hesitated, surprise flickering across his face. "How do you know?" he asked, his voice suddenly uncertain. Lucen smiled, a slow, knowing smile. "Because I am responsible," he said. In that moment, the truth crashed upon him like a tidal wave, stealing his breath, clouding his vision. His soul, his very essence, had taken root in the body of a monster. This man, Lucen, had been a legend, feared and revered in equal measure. He had led armies to victory, crushed rebellions, and carved out an empire that spanned the known world. But he had also destroyed kingdoms, shattered families, and drowned the world in sorrow. And now, after all those years, after all that blood spilled and lives ruined, he was back. But amidst the torrent of revelations, there was one feeling that refused to be extinguished, a tiny ember glowing in the darkness, a heart that still beat with the rhythm of humanity. In that moment, he understood why he'd been brought back, why he was given a second chance. He had lived a lifetime as a conqueror, a lifetime of war and bloodshed. Now it was time to live as something else, to find redemption in the life of a pauper. But as the enormity of his past deeds crashed upon him, he found himself torn. Should he live on? Should he try to redeem this broken, tarnished name? Or should he tear fate apart and seek the truth of who he really am? Thank you for witnessing this tale of a soul trapped in borrowed skin, lost between sins it cannot remember and pain it cannot undo. In the end, Lucen may never truly know who he is, only who the world believes him to be. If you carried the weight of another's past, would you break beneath it, or vanish into the silence? Leave your thoughts below. If this shadowed tale spoke to you, please like, subscribe, and return for more stories that haunt, linger, and refuse to let go.